One splash of muddy water. That's all it took to change everything. Amara was just trying to get to work, her worn shoes barely holding together. The woman in the Mercedes had no idea someone powerful was watching from across the street. What happened next proved that cruelty never goes unnoticed, and kindness can come from the most unexpected places. Amara Okonkwo woke before dawn, as she always did. The small room she rented in Lagos smelled of damp concrete and yesterday's Gary. At 28, her hands already bore the calluses of someone twice her age, evidence of 6 years scrubbing floors in office buildings across Victoria Island. She stood before the cracked mirror, braiding her hair with practiced fingers. Her reflection showed a woman who'd learned to make herself invisible. No jewelry, no makeup, just clean skin and tired eyes that still held something unbreakable. Her mother had called it inner fire. Her mother had been wrong about many things, but perhaps not that. The morning ritual never changed. She boiled water for instant coffee, counted out exact change for the bus, and folded her cleaning uniform. A faded blue dress with Cleanco services, embroidered on the pocket. In her bag, a worn Bible her mother had given her, 2 pieces of bread for lunch, and a photograph of her younger brother, Chidi, whose school fees consumed most of her salary. Just 2 more years, she thought, lacing her only pair of shoes. 2 more years and Chidi graduates. Then maybe. But she never let herself finish that thought. Hope was a luxury she couldn't afford. The streets of Surulere were already stirring as Amara began her journey. She walked with purpose, head down, navigating puddles from last night's rain. Dignity, her mother used to say, wasn't about what you had. It was about how you carried yourself through the struggle. Amara clung to that teaching like a lifeline. She didn't notice the black Mercedes parked 3 blocks from her bus stop. Didn't see the eyes watching her through tinted windows. Scene 2. Antagonist introduction. Mrs. Ngozi Adeyemi checked her reflection in the visor mirror, smoothing already perfect makeup. At 35, she wore her wealth like armor. Diamond earrings that cost more than most people's annual salary, a designer handbag imported from Milan, and an attitude that suggested the world existed solely for her convenience. Her husband's construction company had made them rich. Nouveau riche, the old money families whispered, but Ngozi didn't care. Money was money and she had plenty of it. "Madam, we're taking the usual route," her driver asked nervously. "Obviously," she snapped, scrolling through Instagram, admiring her own posts. 5,000 followers who envied her life. That number should be higher. She deserved more recognition. The Mercedes glided through Lagos traffic like a shark through water. Ngozi barely glanced at the people outside. The hawkers, the struggling masses, the cleaners. They were background noise, extras in the movie of her fabulous life. But beneath the designer clothes and practiced superiority, something gnawed at Ngozi. Her husband's late nights, the whispered phone calls, the way his eyes slid past her at dinner. She pushed the thoughts away, replacing insecurity with cruelty. It was easier to look down on others than to face the cracks in her perfect life. "Why is this traffic so slow?" she demanded. "These people should learn to move." The driver said nothing. He'd learned silence was safest. Scene 3. The inciting incident. The bus stop sat at the corner where Adeola Ogunsanya Street met the main road. Amara stood among a dozen other early morning workers, all of them exhausted before the day even began. She clutched her bag, checking her watch. If this bus didn't come soon, she'd be late. Being late meant a warning. 3 warnings meant losing the job. The puddle stretched across the curb, dark water reflecting the gray morning sky. Amara noticed it, stepped back slightly, maintaining her small space of cleanliness in a chaotic city. Then came the roar of the engine. The Mercedes took the corner too fast, its tires designed for European roads, not Lagos potholes. Ngozi was still on her phone, composing a caption about #BlessedLife, when the car hit the puddle at full speed. Time seemed to slow. A wave of muddy water rose like a brown curtain. Amara saw it coming, tried to move, but the crowd pressed too close. The water hit her with the force of contempt, drenching her uniform, her bag, her carefully braided hair. Cold, dirty, humiliating. The bus stop fell silent. Amara stood frozen, water dripping from her clothes, her dignity pooling at her feet with the mud. Her uniform, her only uniform, clung to her skin, stained beyond what one washing could fix. Her bread ruined. Her Bible soaked. The Mercedes stopped. For one hopeful moment, Amara thought the driver would apologize. People made mistakes. Accidents happened. But it wasn't the driver who emerged. Ngozi stepped out, her stiletto hitting the pavement with a sharp click. She took one look at Amara and laughed. A sound like breaking glass. "Look at this mess," Ngozi said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You people should learn to stand somewhere else. Do you know how much this car costs? You couldn't afford the tire." Amara's throat closed. Words died before they could form. I'm sorry, Ma," she whispered, hating herself for apologizing. "Sorry." Ngozi's eyes glittered with something dark. "People like you are always sorry. Sorry for existing, sorry for being poor, sorry for making Lagos ugly." She wrinkled her nose. "You smell like poverty. Stay away from my car." Someone in the crowd muttered. Another person pulled out a phone, but quickly lowered it. Nobody challenged people like Ngozi. They had lawyers, connections, power to make problems disappear. Ngozi slid back into her Mercedes, already forgetting the encounter. Just another poor person, another nobody. But she was wrong about the nobody watching. Across the street, in a black Range Rover with tinted windows, Adeola Williams had seen everything. Scene 4. Secret Observer introduced Adeola Williams, CEO of Williams Tech Holdings, sat perfectly still, her coffee forgotten in the cup holder. She'd pulled over to take an early morning call from Singapore, but the call no longer mattered. She just watched a woman in a Mercedes humiliate a cleaner. At 42, Adeola had built her company from nothing. From a small computer repair shop in Mushin to a tech empire worth billions. Forbes had called her Nigeria's most influential female entrepreneur. Bloomberg had featured her story. But none of them knew about the little girl who'd once cleaned houses with her mother. The girl who'd worn donated shoes to school and pretended not to hear classmates mocking her worn uniform. Adeola watched the cleaner. Amara, she would later learn. Stand there dripping, watched her shoulders curve inward, watched her whisper an apology she didn't owe. And something inside Adeola cracked open. She watched the Mercedes drive away. Watched the crowd disperse. Watched Amara walk to a public tap, trying desperately to rinse mud from her uniform with shaking hands. "Mom? Your 9 o'clock meeting." Her assistant's voice came through the speaker. "Cancel it," Adeola said softly. "Mom. Cancel everything this morning. I need you to do something for me." She took a photo of Amara, zooming in on the Cleanco Services logo. Then she made 3 calls. By the time Amara's bus finally arrived, Adeola had a name, an address, and a growing file of information. She also had a plan. But Adeola had learned long ago that real help didn't announce itself. Pride could be as crippling as poverty. If she was going to help this woman, she'd have to be invisible. At least at first. As Amara's bus pulled away, Adeola made one more call. "Start with something small," she told her assistant. "Something she'll accept. And include a note. No signature. Just hope." The Mercedes was already miles away. Ngozi already posting selfies. Completely unaware that her cruelty had been witnessed by someone who could make or break careers with a single phone call. But vengeance wasn't what Adeola wanted. She wanted something much more powerful: transformation. This woman doesn't know it yet, Adeola thought, watching the bus disappear into traffic. But her life is about to change. And the woman who tried to destroy her dignity will learn what real power looks like. ACT 2. Rising Action Scene 5. Aftermath and daily struggle. Amara arrived at the Silverstone office complex 40 minutes late. Her uniform still damp, leaving wet footprints across the marble lobby. Mr. Peters, the site supervisor, stood waiting with crossed arms. "This is your second warning this month, Amara." "Sir, I don't want excuses." "Third warning, you're gone. We have 100 people who'd take your job." His face softened slightly. "Clean yourself up. Start with the executive floor." The executive floor. 12 offices of lawyers and consultants who dropped crumbs on purpose, who left sticky coffee rings and never said thank you. Amara changed into the spare uniform she kept in her locker, older, more faded but dry, and began her work. Her knees hit the floor. Her hands found their rhythm. Spray, wipe, sweep, mop. The mindless repetition brought a kind of peace. Here she wasn't Amara the person. She was Amara the cleaner. Invisible. Safe. Girl, what happened to you? Grace, another cleaner, appeared in the doorway. At 53, Grace had been cleaning offices for 30 years. Her back bent permanently from the work, but her spirit remained unbroken. Nothing don't leave you looking like you fought the rain and lost. Amara's hands stilled. Then quietly the story spilled out. Grace listened without interrupting, her weathered face growing harder with each sentence. Rich people, Grace spat. They think money makes them gods. But God sees everything, you hear me? Everything. God has bigger things to worry about than cleaning ladies. Don't say that. Grace gripped Amara's shoulder. You got dignity, child. That woman in her fancy car? She can't take that. Won't take that. You remember who you are. But who was she? Amara wasn't sure anymore. That evening she counted coins at her kitchen table. Chidi's school fees were due in 2 weeks. 75,000 naira. She had 48,000 saved. The gap yawned like an abyss. I could ask Mrs. Okafor to advance my salary, she thought, but immediately dismissed it. Mrs. Okafor had already advanced her money twice this year. There were limits to kindness. She ate her gari slowly, making it last, and read her water-damaged Bible by candlelight. The electricity had been cut again. She'd forgotten to buy units. Outside, Legos hummed with evening noise. Car horns, generators, someone's TV playing too loud. Amara lay on her thin mattress and stared at the ceiling, thinking about the woman in the Mercedes. What did it feel like, she wondered, to have so much that you could waste your cruelty on strangers? To have so much power that you never feared consequences? She would never know. But across the city, in an office that overlooked the Lagos Lagoon, Adeola Williams was learning everything about Amara Okonkwo. Scene 6. First anonymous gift. 3 days passed. 3 days of Amara scrubbing floors, riding crowded buses, counting coins. 3 days of trying to forget the humiliation, the laughter, the mud. She arrived at work to find a package on her locker. Brown paper tied with simple string. No name. No sender. Amara looked around. The changing room was empty. She touched the package carefully, as if it might disappear. Inside. A pair of cleaning gloves, proper professional ones with grip pads, not the cheap ones that tore after one day. A box of energy bars. And a sealed envelope. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The note was handwritten in elegant script. For the woman who keeps buildings clean while maintaining her own dignity. You are seen. You are valued. This is not charity. It's recognition of your worth. Please accept these small gifts from someone who understands struggle. No signature. No explanation. Amara read it 3 times. 4. Her vision blurred. Who? Why? How did they know? Grace, she called out, but Grace wasn't there yet. Amara stood alone in the changing room, holding gloves and a note from a stranger, and for the first time in months, something that felt dangerously like hope flickered in her chest. She put on the gloves. They fit perfectly. At lunch, she ate an energy bar instead of her usual bread. Tasted like chocolate and promise. She saved half for tomorrow, then immediately felt guilty. Someone had given her a gift, and she was rationing it like she rationed everything else in her life. Please accept these small gifts, the note had said. So she ate the whole bar. Let herself have something good. Let herself imagine, just for a moment, that someone in this vast city cared whether she had proper gloves or enough to eat. That evening she showed Grace the note. Secret admirer, Grace teased, but her eyes were serious. It's not like that. Then what is it? I don't know. Amara folded the note carefully. But I'm going to work harder. Whoever gave me this. I'm going to prove I deserved it. She didn't understand yet that she already deserved it. That worthiness wasn't something to be earned through suffering. But she would learn. Because the gifts had only just begun. Scene 7. Observer's investigation. Adeola's assistant, Tund, handed her a folder thick with information. Everything you asked for, Ma. Adeola opened it slowly. Inside, Amara's employment history, educational background, family situation. The story that emerged broke her heart and strengthened her resolve simultaneously. Amara had graduated from University of Lagos, Business Administration, second-class upper. Good grades despite working 3 jobs to pay her fees. Her parents had died in a car accident when she was 22, leaving her with a teenage brother in crushing debt. She'd looked for corporate jobs, sent 100 applications. But without connections, without money for interview clothes or transportation, those doors remained closed. So she'd taken the first job available, cleaning. For 6 years she'd cleaned, and scraped, and survived. Her brother? Adeola asked. Chidi Okonkwo, 17. Final year at government secondary school. Good student. Sister pays his fees, his books, everything. Kid doesn't even know how much she sacrifices. Adeola closed the folder. She saw herself in those pages, the struggle, the determination, the quiet desperation of trying to build something from nothing. Her own mother had cleaned houses in Mushin while Adeola went to school, had scrubbed other people's toilets so her daughter could have textbooks, had died before seeing Adela's company go public, before seeing her daughter's face on magazine covers. Everything I became, Adeola whispered. I became because someone gave me a chance. Ma. My first computer. A professor gave it to me when I couldn't afford one. He said, "Don't thank me. Just pass it on. I've donated millions to scholarships, built schools, funded programs. But this," she tapped the folder, "this is different." How? Because she reminds me that behind every statistic, every poverty number, every cleaning lady we pass without looking, there's a person. A whole universe of dreams and struggle and dignity. Adeola had watched the Mercedes woman, Ngozi Adeyemi, wife of contractor Emmanuel Adeyemi, destroy Amara's dignity for no reason except casual cruelty. She'd also had Ngozi investigated. The woman was exactly what she appeared. Wealthy, entitled, insecure, compensating for her husband's obvious affairs by flaunting her lifestyle. What do you want to do, Ma? Adeola smiled. I want to change a life. Slowly, carefully, until she's strong enough to fly on her own. And the woman in the Mercedes? She'll get what's coming. But that's not the focus. The focus is Amara. Everything else is just context. She made another call. More gifts were sent. But carefully. Nothing too large that Amara would feel beholden or suspicious. Just enough to ease the crushing pressure, to give her breathing room, to remind her that kindness existed. Scene 8. Antagonist escalates. Ngozi had forgotten about the cleaner. Forgotten the mud, the insult, the moment entirely. It had been insignificant, a blip, nothing. Until she saw Amara again. She'd stopped at a cafe in Victoria Island. Overpriced coffee and Instagram opportunities. She was posing for a selfie when she noticed a woman in a cleaning uniform walking past outside. The same woman from the puddle. But something was different. The woman's uniform looked cleaner, newer. She walked with her head slightly higher. She was smiling at something on her phone. Ngozi's coffee turned bitter in her mouth. Why was the cleaner smiling? People like that weren't supposed to smile. They were supposed to stay in their place, invisible and miserable, making people like Ngozi feel better about their own lives by comparison. Emmanuel, she snapped into her phone when her husband finally answered. Are you coming home tonight, or should I assume you're working late again? Ngozi, please. Not now. When then? When you're done with whatever secretary you're. He hung up. Ngozi's hand shook. She looked at her reflection in the cafe window. Perfect makeup couldn't hide the anger in her eyes, the bitterness settling into the lines around her mouth. She thought about the cleaner again. Probably had nothing. Probably went home to some terrible room in a terrible neighborhood. Probably had nothing to look forward to except more cleaning, more poverty, more nothing. So why had she been smiling? The question festered all day, growing into inexplicable anger. Ngozi found herself driving past the Silverstone office complex that afternoon, telling her driver she had business nearby. She watched workers come and go. Then she saw Amara leaving at shift's end. Saw her stop at the security gate to chat with the guard, laughing at something he said. Saw her join another cleaning woman, arms linked, walking toward the bus stop like they hadn't a care in the world. Some people don't know their place anymore, Ngozi muttered. She didn't understand the jealousy eating at her. Didn't recognize that she envied Amara's genuine smile, her obvious friendship, the authenticity of her small joys. Ngozi had money but no real friends, just women who wanted access to her lifestyle, invitations to her parties. She had everything. Amara had nothing. So why did it feel like the opposite? Follow them, she told her driver. Ma. Just do it. She didn't know what she was looking for. Proof of something. Evidence that her cruelty had been justified, that these people deserved their poverty. But she found nothing except two women laughing about a co-worker's terrible singing. Nothing except ordinary humanity. It made her furious. Scene 9. Second and third gifts. 2 weeks after the first gift, Amara found another package. This time, grocery vouchers worth 5,000 naira. Enough for a month of decent food. Another note. Let others feed your body while you feed your spirit. You deserve more than surviving. You deserve to thrive. Amara cried in the changing room, clutching the vouchers like they were made of gold. She thought about pride, about accepting help, about strangers who saw her suffering and chose to care. That weekend she went to the market and bought vegetables. Real vegetables, not just Gary and bread. She bought chicken, rice, fresh tomatoes. She bought soap that smelled nice and toothpaste that wasn't the cheapest brand. She cooked a proper meal for the first time in months. When she video called Chidi that night, he noticed immediately. Sister, you look different. You look happy. I am happy. I got a blessing. What kind? She couldn't explain without crying again, so she just said, God kind. The third gift came 3 weeks later. Money. 20,000 naira in an envelope with another note. For school fees, emergencies, or dreams. Use it without guilt. You've earned this through your resilience and grace. 20,000 naira. Amara stared at the money, terrified and grateful and confused. Who was this person? How did they know about Chidi's school fees? She brought the envelope to Grace. This is too much. I can't accept this. Why not? Because nothing is free. There's always a price. Grace took her hands. Baby, listen to me. Sometimes angels exist. Sometimes people who've struggled want to help others struggling. Maybe this angel saw you and recognized herself. Maybe she. Grace shrugged. Or he. But I think she. Men don't usually notice cleaning ladies unless they want something dirty. This feels like woman-to-woman understanding. Amara thought about that. Thought about the careful anonymity, the respectful notes, the practical gifts. Not flowers or jewelry, but gloves and groceries and school fees. What should I do? Accept it. Say thank you to God or the universe or whoever sent it. And work like you've been working, with dignity and hope. So Amara did. She paid Chidi's fees early for the first time ever. She bought herself a new pair of shoes. Not expensive, just new with soles that didn't flap. She opened a savings account with the rest. And she started walking taller. People noticed. Her supervisor commented on her improved attitude. Her coworkers saw the change, subtle but real. Amara still scrubbed floors with the same dedication, but something in her eyes had shifted from resignation to possibility. She didn't know that 3 floors above her, Adeola sometimes watched through security camera feeds, smiling at Amara's transformation. She didn't know that Ngozi was watching too, but with very different emotions. Scene 10. Protagonist's small victory. Mr. Peters called Amara into his office. Her heart dropped. Despite working harder than ever, she assumed the worst. Third warning. Termination. Sit down, Amara. She perched on the edge of the chair, hands folded. Do you know why you're here? No, sir. The tenants on the executive floor. They've noticed your work. Here it comes, she thought. A complaint. Someone unhappy with her cleaning. They've specifically requested you. Said you're thorough, professional, respectful. One of them, lawyer named Obina. He told me his office has never been cleaner. Mr. Peters smiled, an expression Amara had rarely seen on his stern face. We're promoting you to senior cleaner. 15% raise. Starts Monday. The words didn't register at first. Then, at a raise. You've earned it. Most people here just do the minimum. You do it right. He handed her a paper. Sign this. And Amara? Keep it up. Hard work gets noticed eventually. She floated out of his office. 15%. On her salary, that meant nearly 8,000 naira more per month. That meant Chidi could have better shoes, could afford a graphing calculator for his exams. That meant she could save more, could start imagining a future beyond just survival. Grace. She found her friend in the supply room. Grace, I got promoted. They hugged, laughing, two cleaning women celebrating a small victory in a city that usually crushed small victories. But in the parking lot below, sitting in her Mercedes, Ngozi had heard everything. She'd come to complain about a parking space dispute, had been waiting in the lobby when she overheard Mr. Peters and Amara talking through his open office door. Heard about the promotion, the raise, the praise. The cleaner was moving up, getting ahead. It felt like a personal insult. Ngozi's therapist had once suggested she examine why other people's success triggered her. She'd stopped seeing that therapist. But the question lingered, unanswered and festering. She watched Amara leave the building that evening, watched her practically skip to the bus stop, watched her board the bus with a smile that looked like sunshine. And Ngozi decided that smile needed to be destroyed. Scene 11. The sabotage. The plan formed over 3 days. Ngozi's husband Emmanuel owned a construction company. That company had contracts with multiple property management firms. Those firms managed buildings, including Silverstone office complex. One phone call. That's all it took. Emmanuel, I need a favor.
Aimbus, Ngozi.
There's a cleaner at Silverstone. She's been stealing. I saw her take money from an office. The lie came easily. Emmanuel didn't ask questions. Why would he? His wife wouldn't lie about something so serious. He made a call. That person made a call. Information traveled through the corruption-greased channels of Lagos business relationships. By Friday afternoon, Mr. Peters received a call from building management. They'd received a report. Money missing from one of the executive offices. Check the cleaning staff. Mr. Peters didn't want to believe it. But money trumped trust. He installed hidden cameras that night, told no one. Monday morning before Amara arrived, someone placed a wallet in her cleaning cart. The wallet contained 5,000 naira and belonged to one of the lawyers upstairs. A lawyer Ngozi had contacted personally, spinning a story about testing employee honesty. At 10 a.m. the lawyer discovered his wallet was missing. At 11 a.m., security searched the cleaning carts. At 11:15 they found the wallet in Amara's cart. I didn't. Amara stared at the wallet like it was a snake. I don't know how. You have 5 seconds to explain, Mr. Peters said, his face hard. Sir, I've never stolen anything. Never. Someone put this here. Someone? The only people with access to these carts are cleaners. Then someone's framing me. But even as she said it, Amara knew how it sounded. Desperate. Guilty. Exactly what a thief would say when caught. Grace stood in the doorway, her face ashen. Other cleaners gathered, whispering. Some looked sympathetic. Others looked vindicated. They'd been passed over for the promotion Amara received. We have to call the police, the lawyer said. No. Please. Amara's world tilted. A police record meant no job ever again. Meant Chidi would have to drop out of school. Meant the end of everything. Please, sir, check the cameras. Check anything. I didn't take this. The cameras were just installed last night, Mr. Peters said quietly. They weren't running this morning yet. Perfect timing. Almost too perfect. Amara saw her life collapsing. Saw the promotion evaporating. Saw Chidi's future crumbling. She thought about running, about dignity, about the anonymous benefactor who believed she deserved good things. She stood straighter. Sir, I have worked here for 6 years. 6 years without one complaint about honesty. I have cleaned these offices when no one was watching, when I could have taken 1,000 things. I have never stolen a pen. Check my record. Check my locker. Search my bag. Her voice shook but held firm. I did not take that wallet. The room went quiet. Even the lawyer looked uncomfortable. We still have to investigate, Mr. Peters said, but his voice had softened. You're suspended without pay until this resolves. If you're innocent, you'll be reinstated. If that word carried all her fear. Amara walked out of Silverstone office complex with her head high and her heart shattered. She'd been so close to climbing out of the hole. So close to believing things could get better. She should have known better than to hope. Scene 12. Observer steps in. Adeola was in a meeting when Tund interrupted. Something he never did unless critical. Ma, we have a situation. She excused herself. What situation? The cleaner. Amara. She's been accused of theft. Suspended. They're considering pressing charges. Adeola's blood went cold. Tell me everything. Tund explained. As he talked, Adeola's jaw tightened. The timing was too convenient. The planted evidence too obvious. Someone wanted Amara destroyed. Pull all security footage from Silverstone for the past week. Every angle. Ma, that's... I don't care about legal. I own the security company they contract with. Pull the footage. Within 2 hours, her tech team had analyzed everything. The wallet had been placed in Amara's cart by someone wearing a visitor badge. Someone who shouldn't have had building access at all. The footage showed a woman in expensive clothes, face partially hidden by sunglasses and a scarf. But the wedding ring was visible. Distinctive. Enormous diamond custom setting. Adeola had seen that ring before. 3 weeks ago, on the hand of a woman stepping out of a Mercedes after splashing a cleaner with mud. Ngozi Adeyemi, she said softly. You know her. Not personally. But I know her type. Adeola made a call. I need everything on Ngozi Adeyemi. Everything. Her husband's business, their contracts, their financial situation. I want to know where every naira comes from and where it goes. Ma, that'll take. You have 6 hours. Adeola had built her company by being patient, strategic, and ethical. But she'd also learned that sometimes justice required force. When systems failed the powerful had a responsibility to intervene. She'd been watching Amara from a distance, helping anonymously. But that time was ending. It was time to step out of the shadows. Scene 13. Vindication. Amara spent 3 days in her room, crying and praying and preparing to lose everything. She called Chidi, told him there might be some problems with school fees next term. She'd avoided Grace's calls, couldn't face her friend's pity. On the 4th day, Mr. Peters called. Amara, come to my office. Now. She almost didn't go. What was the point? They'd decided her guilt already. But something in his voice, urgency instead of anger, made her dress carefully, wear her good shoes, face the execution of her reputation with as much dignity as she could muster. The conference room was full. Mr. Peters, the lawyer, building management, security, and a woman Amara didn't recognize, tall, elegant, wearing a business suit that probably cost more than Amara's annual salary. Sit down, Amara, Mr. Peters said, but gently now. She sat, hands clenched in her lap. We owe you an apology. Mr. Peters looked uncomfortable. We received additional security footage. Footage that shows the wallet being planted in your cart by an intruder. Amara's breath stopped. The footage came from an external security audit conducted by Williams Holdings, the company that owns our security system. They routinely review footage for quality control. He nodded to the elegant woman. This is their CEO. Adeola extended her hand. Ms. Okonkwo, I apologize that our system failed to prevent this injustice sooner. Amara shook her hand, confused. The woman's grip was firm, warm. Who planted it? She whispered. Everyone exchanged glances. That's being handled through proper channels, building management said carefully. What matters now is clearing your name. You're reinstated immediately, with full back pay for your suspension days. And Mr. Peters slid a paper across the table. We're adding a formal apology to your file and an additional raise. 10%. 10%. On top of the 15%. 25% total raise. Amara stared at the paper, unable to process. Furthermore, Adeola said, Williams Holdings has a workplace justice fund. We provide legal protection to employees wrongly accused. If you choose to pursue civil action against whoever did this, we'll cover your legal fees. I don't understand. Amara looked at this powerful woman, searching her face. Why would you help me? Because what happened to you was wrong. Because justice shouldn't be a luxury only the rich can afford. Adeola's eyes held something Amara couldn't name. Because 6 years of honest work deserves protection. The meeting ended. Papers were signed. Apologies were offered. Amara walked out in a daze. In the hallway, Grace was waiting, tears streaming down her face. They told me. Oh baby, they told me. They held each other. Two cleaning women in a corporate hallway, celebrating the rare victory of truth over power. But Amara kept thinking about the CEO. About the way she'd looked at her. About the feeling that this wasn't random, that somehow, impossibly, that woman knew more than she was saying. She didn't know that across the city, Ngozi Adeyemi was receiving a very different kind of phone call. Emmanuel's voice was ice. What did you do? I don't know what you're talking about. Williams Holdings. They sent me a full report. Security footage of you entering Silverstone with a fake badge, planting evidence. They've sent it to my business partners, my contractors, everyone. His voice rose. Do you know what you've done? Williams Holdings controls 40% of the security contracts in Lagos. They can destroy my company. Ngozi's hand went cold around the phone. The cleaner, Emmanuel continued. You tried to frame a cleaner. Why? Why would you risk everything for something so stupid? She had no answer that didn't sound insane. Fix this, Emmanuel said. Apologize, grovel, I don't care. But fix this before they destroy us both. He hung up. Ngozi stood in her beautiful house, surrounded by her beautiful things, and felt the walls closing in. She tried to crush someone who had nothing. And somehow, impossibly, that someone had turned out to be protected by one of the most powerful women in Lagos. How? How had this happened? But deep down beneath the fear, a small voice whispered the truth. This wasn't about the cleaner having protection. It was about Ngozi having nothing real. No real friends to defend her. No real character to shield her. Just money and meanness and the hollow core of a life built on looking down at others. The voice was right. But Ngozi wasn't ready to hear it yet. ACT 3. Climax and Resolution Scene 14. Big reveal set up. 2 weeks passed. Life slowly returned to normal, except normal was better now. Amara worked with her head higher, her heart lighter. The other cleaners treated her with new respect. Not just as a coworker, but as someone who'd survived an attack and emerged vindicated. Grace noticed the change most. You walk different now. I feel different. Amara paused her mopping. I keep thinking about that CEO. Williams. She didn't have to help me. Maybe she's your mysterious gift giver. The thought had crossed Amara's mind, but it seemed impossible. CEOs didn't notice cleaning ladies. CEOs didn't anonymously send groceries and gloves. But then came the invitation. It arrived by courier, in a cream envelope with gold lettering. Amara opened it with trembling hands. You are cordially invited to the Williams Holdings Annual Excellence Gala. Saturday, 7 p.m. Victoria Island Conference Center. Inside, a handwritten note. Ms. Okonkwo, I would be honored by your presence. Consider this an invitation not just to an event, but to a conversation about your future. Dress code formal. Transportation will be arranged. It was signed, Adeola Williams. Grace. Grace. Amara ran to find her friend. Look at this. Grace read it 3 times. Baby, this is... I don't even know what this is. Why would she invite you to a gala? I don't know. Maybe to thank me for not suing? Maybe. Maybe it's about more than the lawsuit. Grace handed back the invitation. Maybe it's about those gifts. Maybe she's your angel. The thought terrified and thrilled Amara simultaneously. I can't go. Why not? I don't have a dress. I don't have shoes. I don't know how to act at a gala. I'll embarrass myself. You have a week. We'll figure it out. but figuring it out seemed impossible. Formal dresses cost thousands. Amara had savings now, thanks to the anonymous gifts, but spending it on one dress felt reckless. She was still worrying about it 3 days later when another package arrived at her locker. Inside, a dress. Not expensive looking but elegant. Simple black fabric, modest neckline, perfect length. And shoes. Comfortable heels that looked sophisticated without being flashy. The note read, "The dress is not about impressing others. It's about you feeling comfortable in a space you deserve to occupy. Wear it with the same dignity you wear your uniform. That's all the elegance you need." Amara held the dress against her body, looking in the cracked changing room mirror. For the first time in her life, she saw herself transformed not by expensive things, but by the knowledge that someone believed she belonged in rooms she'd only ever cleaned. "I'm going," she told Grace. "Damn right you're going." Saturday came too fast and too slow. Amara dressed carefully, her hands shaking. The dress fit perfectly. The shoes felt like they'd been made for her feet. She braided her hair into an elegant crown, used Grace's lipstick, looked at herself one final time. She looked like someone worth knowing. A car arrived exactly at 6:30. Not a taxi. A real car with a driver who opened the door and called her ma'am. As they drove through Lagos toward Victoria Island, Amara watched the city transform from her world to another. From cramped streets to wide boulevards. From darkness to lights. From struggle to possibility. She thought about her mother, wished she could see this moment. She thought about Chidi, who didn't know his sister was attending a gala with some of Lagos's most powerful people. She thought about the woman in the Mercedes who'd splashed her with mud, and wondered if cruelty ever kept people awake at night. Then she thought about Adeola Williams, and wondered what the evening would reveal. The car pulled up to the conference center. Music floated through the air. Beautiful people in beautiful clothes laughed and drank champagne. Amara took a deep breath. "I belong here," she told herself, trying to believe it. "I was invited. I belong." She stepped out of the car and into a new chapter of her life. Scene 15. The event, the Victoria Island Conference Center, glittered like something from a dream. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over women in designer dresses and men in tailored suits. Waiters glided through the crowd with trays of champagne and delicate appetizers that probably cost more than Amara's weekly grocery budget. She stood in the entrance, paralyzed. "Ms. Okonkwo?" A young woman with a clipboard approached. "I'm Tun's assistant. Ms. Williams is expecting you. Please follow me." The crowd parted as they walked. Amara felt eyes on her, curious, assessing. She kept her head up, remembered Grace's words. "You've earned your place in any room you enter." They reached a VIP area overlooking the main floor. Adeola Williams stood talking to a group of executives, her presence commanding the space effortlessly. When she saw Amara, her face transformed with a genuine smile. "Excuse me, gentlemen." She crossed to Amara, hand extended. "Ms. Okonkwo, thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. I'm not sure why I'm here. All will be explained. But first, enjoy the evening. Have you eaten?" "No, ma." "Then let's fix that. And please call me Adeola." Felt wrong, too familiar. But Adeola's eyes held warmth and something else, recognition, maybe, or kinship. They sat at a small table away from the crowd. Food appeared. Real food, not canapes like Adeola had known Amara would be hungry. They talked about small things. Lagos traffic, Chidi's studies, the weather. Then Adeola said, "Tell me about your degree." How did you know about that?" "I did my research. Business administration, Unilag. Good grades. You tried to find work in your field. 200 applications. Not one interview. Because you didn't have connections. Didn't know the right people. Couldn't afford interview clothes or transportation." Adeola's voice held understanding, not pity. "And so you clean floors instead. Honest work." "Absolutely. But was it your dream?" Amara was quiet. "Then no. My dream was to run my own business someday. Something small. Maybe a catering company or an events planning service. Something I could build." She looked away. Silly dreams. Not silly. Deferred. Below them the gala continued. Music played. People networked. But in their small corner, something important was happening. Then Amara saw her. Across the floor near the bar. Ngozi Adeyemi, wearing a dress that probably cost 6 months of Amara's salary. Their eyes met. Ngozi went pale. "She's here," Amara whispered. Adeola didn't turn around. "I know. Did you invite her? Her husband's company has contracts with several businesses attending tonight. I didn't need to invite them. They came on their own." Amara watched Ngozi whisper to her husband, watched him look over, watched both their faces fill with recognition and something like fear. "Why are they afraid of you?" Amara asked. Adeola smiled. "Because I hold their company's reputation in my hands. Because Emmanuel Adeyemi's construction firm relies on contracts from businesses I influence. Because when Williams Holdings suggests someone might be a liability, people listen. Are you going to destroy them? Do you want me to?" The question hung between them. Amara thought about the mud, the humiliation, the attempted framing. Thought about how close she'd come to losing everything because of one woman's cruelty. "No," she said finally. "I don't want to become what she is." Adeola's eyes glittered with approval. "That's the answer I hoped for. But I don't understand. Why do you care? Why are you doing this?" "Because," Adeola said, "it's time you knew the truth." Scene 16. Identity reveal. Adeola stood, gestured for Amara to follow. They walked to a quieter corner, a balcony overlooking Lagos's glittering skyline. The city spread before them like possibility itself. 25 years ago, Adeola began, I was 16. My mother cleaned houses in Mushin while I attended school. We were poor. Not just struggling poor. Some days we ate once. Some days not at all. Amara listened, barely breathing. One day, my mother was cleaning a wealthy family's house. Their daughter, same age as me, spilled juice on the floor on purpose. Made my mother clean it while she laughed. Called her worthless. Adeola's voice grew quiet. My mother said nothing. Just cleaned it. But when she got home she cried. I'd never seen her cry before. What happened? She kept cleaning. Kept sacrificing. Put me through school. Died a week after my university graduation. Heart attack from years of stress, poor nutrition and hard labor. Adeola turned to face Amara. She never got to see me build my company. Never saw me become successful. Never got to stop cleaning.
I'm sorry.
I've carried that guilt for 20 years. Built schools, funded programs, donated millions. But it's never felt personal enough. Never felt like I was truly honoring her memory. Adeola paused. Then 3 weeks ago, I watched a woman in a Mercedes splash mud on a cleaner. Watched her mock you, humiliate you. And I saw my mother. Realization dawned on Amara's face. The gifts. The help. That was you. That was me. I wanted to help the way someone once helped me. Anonymously, respectfully. A professor gave me my first computer. He said, "Don't thank me. Pass it on." So I'm passing it on to you. But why me? There are thousands of cleaners. Because you reminded me that behind every struggle is a person with dreams. Because you maintained your dignity when someone tried to strip it away. Because you deserve more than survival, Amara. You deserve success. Amara's eyes filled. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept my offer. What offer? Adeola handed her an envelope. Williams Holdings is expanding our facilities management division. We need someone with ground-level experience in business training to head our new customer service excellence program. The job includes a degree completion scholarship. We'll pay for you to finish any additional certifications or education you want. Starting salary, 300,000 naira monthly. The number didn't compute. Amara's current salary was 70,000. I can't. Why would you? Because I can. Because you've earned it. Because 25 years ago, someone gave me a chance and it changed my life. Now I'm giving you the